Hi everyone, I'm Dave, welcome back to Good for Model Railway. Just wanted to share a few updates with you on what I've been up to over the last few weeks really. I have spent a bit of time out here, although it's been quite hot. The room's covered by trees, so it's in the shade most of the time, so it's not been too bad. So I managed to get a fair bit done, which is nice. So yeah, let's jump in with the updates. Working our way around, we're going to start off with the depot. I've done a lot of detailing inside the depot. On the end here, what we've done is started to scratch build a depot end. So this will be the back of a depot that's behind this one. There's a little man there opening the gates. I've done detailing like signage. You can see on the side of the building there. The railings. I've attached the Class 37 engine onto the back of this truck so that you can get into the gates. I've done detailing inside the depot as well. So as you can see inside there, lots of bits and bobs that I've glued down, painted, all the things that I quite enjoy doing. So you can see inside there, there's quite a lot going on. Probably needs a little bit more attention to the groundwork, a bit more warning about the pits. I've added like the electrical conduit inside and all the accessories, a few people. And outside, another Bachmann building. I've added signage to that, to repaint that, because unfortunately the top level I'd bought had sort of faded in the sun from the previous owner, so I painted them both. A few railings up there as well. I think that sort of disguises that entrance to the footy yard quite well. More bits of detailing added here, the skip. It's all the bits that have been lying around for some time. I finally just put a bit of logic behind it and glued them down. Put the crane in place. With something that's lifting up there. And then around the edge here, rather than having it too cluttered, I added a few more bits. I've touched up the ballast that wasn't quite the same colour. Added a lot more grass tufts into the depot area. Grass behind the ends there. I've done a similar thing inside this depot as well. As you can see, there's a bit of welding going on in there. I've not lit the inside of this one yet. I'm not sure if I will, to be honest. I might just add some lights on the outside. Again, a bit of signage, and then not sure if I showed you that a second ago, but some clutter down the end of there. And then moving down, put some fencing behind there. So yeah, it's just a few more extra details. I have changed the building here because Bachmann released the old mess room again, which I much prefer. I think it works a lot better. None of this is glued down yet. I want to give some of the bits a bit of a spray before I might change that to a single gate as well. I want to give some of the bits a bit of a spray, but weather them down a little bit. But the rough layout of where the buildings is going to go is confirmed. I may remove the sleepers. I'm not sure if you'd see sleepers like that in this sort of yard, but minor detail there. Yeah, just weathered in the ballast a bit more. Undergrowth, you probably can't see the bits I've done because I can't, so you're not going to remember. So yeah, a lot more grass tufts. I may add to them in the future as well. But yeah, really pleased with the result on that. Behind the depot here, I've added the arches. I'd done that on the last update, but I think I'm going to do some flats behind there. That'll probably work better than what's there now. Certainly that was just to give an idea of the effect, but I think the scale seams, I've built some flats from them before, so I might do 2 flats on this bit, 2 on this bit, and then maybe if I can squeeze them onto on that bit, and then just sort of branch down, and then try and do the back of like a field or a football pitch or something on the back of the last bit, so it's not obvious that it disappears under the back seam there. yeah, and that's the whole scene done really. I'll still keep adding a few more little details. I had a big batch of stuff from Scale Model Scenery and the likes of those guys to bash through, and I've just gone through it all, and it's been good weather, so I've had the time to do a bit of spray painting and stuff like that. So yeah, that's it for the depot. The station area, I haven't done a great deal. I've added in an extra 3 lamp posts to finish it off. There was a building there. Annoyingly, one of the bulbs doesn't work. I've messed around with it a lot. I'm not going to bother taking it out and changing it, because I do think that actually you would get one not working in real world. I've added a subway there, which goes down into the platform, so I'm quite pleased with that. Yeah, just added a few more people. I don't think I've done a great deal else with that. I don't want to overcrowd it too much. And then coming on to the front of the station, I have gone over this sort of wasteland a bit more, added some extra bits in, so I don't know if you can spot them. So some oil barrels, rusted ones. I've finished off, I think, all of the cabinets. So little cabinets there, odd pallets, the tyre there, I think, a few tyres, some breeze blocks. And then after I did all that, I just put a load more scatter stuff on it. There's a blue palette there, and just gave it a good old spray with the glue. But yeah, I think the overall effect of that wasteland, I mean, once upon a time I would suggest it was a couple of tracks that led down from the depot there, which is why I've left some old rails from where they've been removed and some old sleepers. But essentially that's the idea behind it. So yeah, I think that's done now. Again, same as depot, a few more grass tufts on this bit of track here leading into the depot. I've spent quite a lot of time on of late has been the road in front of the station. Now, there was a comment last time saying it was wasted space. I think you're probably right. However, I've always liked the idea of having roads because I think they're quite an integral part of near stations. It's hard to have a station without a road, but I hate having roads without vehicles moving. So I've got this the phallus system installed with this little van here that runs up and down. But what I've done to this area here, I've added a lot of little details. So you've got the bus stop there with the sign, a few bits of litter. Whereas we've got the fire hydrant markings. I need to do a little bit of so for there I want to do some more like foliage, might be growing out of the end. What else we've got down here? Telephone cabinets, obviously the street lights, done all the road markings. That was from a kit from Scale Model Scenery. It was a sort of dab over it with a sponge. It's okay. I think what I learned was actually sanding it down afterwards gives it a well weathered look. You can see from the double yellow lines here, they're sort of faded a bit, but that's quite realistic, I would say. So I'm quite pleased with the result on that. Another bus stop here. I've turned the bus around now. I don't know how that ended up the wrong way around on the last update, but that's turned around. Bus stop there. A few people waiting. Skip there with some guys. You can see started adding a bit of foliage down there. I don't know if that's the right, looks all right or not. It might look a little bit too uniform if I do that all along, but I'm sure I'll come up with an idea of how to do that. And then the station entrance here, as you can see, I've added again focus, a zebra crossing there, and then what you might see inside, it's a bit of signage to say which platform to go to. The barriers, obviously, I need to add the name to the actual British Rail sign there, and then we've got a little taxi rank here. Road name, obviously it's going to be called Station Road. What else would it be called? And then at the front of the road section we've got some recycling bins, and I think I'm on the fence now as to what to put in the actual front bit of the station here, because it seems a bit wasted, but equally I don't want to overcrowd it. I might put, zoom out a little bit so you can see, I might put a building on the right and the left of the bus stop, or maybe just on the right hand side, a couple of buildings, and then have where the bus stop is. So this bit here as a car park, and this bit here as a car park, and then a building on this bit here. But that's undecided, there's no rush on that. And then down the end here, as I keep saying, I'm going to do a shopping centre and somehow build that in to the station. I somehow need to work out how people get from, I guess, the shopping centre up the top here into the back platform, and certainly from this entrance here. I'm not quite sure how they'll get to the back platform unless the subway is potentially under there. I don't want to start trying to put a subway in that platform. For a start, there's not really enough room. Secondly, I think I'll do more damage than it's worth trying to get the Dremel in and actually cut a hole out on the back platform there. So you've got steps down up there. I need to put some barriers up, ticket barriers up on the top bit there. So it's just dead space at the minute, but I can do that at some point. Just noticed I've added CCTV cameras. I've forgotten I've done that one. Did the station update a minute ago. And the bike rack there I've added in. I just need to put a couple of bikes on it. So yeah, I think it's certainly coming along. Road scene here. Always adding a few more extra details as and when I come to it. But for the most part, I think it looks all right. The only thing I wish I'd done slightly differently is the zebra crossing. The white lines aren't quite right, but I think it's a bit nitpicky not to worry about that too much. So yeah, coming along nicely. To the countryside section of the layout. I'll just spin you round for those not familiar with the layout. So this is a long sweeping curve with a radius of probably about 6 foot. So full HST around that curve, it looks really good. So I've blended in the background a little bit more. This used to be a load of trees, so there's a bit more foliage along the back there, so it blends in quite well. Little things, I've added a shepherd and a sheepdog, so that's the overall effect of that corner. So moving on to the main thing that I've been working on is the house. So this was just plain grass with the trees. I think I might change the trees to seafoam at some point. I do have the kit, but I just haven't got around to doing it. But the main thing I've been doing is adding in this pond, which was bought as a prefabricated pond, believe it or not, which I think the effect is quite good. However, when I first put it on top of the grass, obviously the water level would have been above the ground level, which isn't particularly realistic. So I had to get the Dremel out and saw out probably about 1 centimetre deep to sink it into the layout, and then I've used grass tufts to blend it in a bit more. Obviously added the seat and the flower bed. The flower bed might need a little bit more work on it. But yeah, I'm really pleased with that as a result. As you can see, the actual pond is lower than the ground level there. Added a couple of dogs, very similar to my dogs. And then sit on mower. It's been a life ambition or a life goal to have a sit on mower. This is meant to be the dream house, so yeah, there's my partner, I guess, by the looks of it. Girl on sit on mower there. And then I've added a bench with a flower bed at the back. And then there was the old railway fence there, and I've added a sort of close board fence as well, which goes all along the back of the garden. As typically you'd find, you wouldn't just have the railway fence and the weeds behind, so I've added close boarded fence to keep all the weed and stuff out. So I think I might add a bit more in front of the fence, just to make it blend in a little bit more. Added an extra building here for the sit on mower, with some mud in front. So the mud was done using textured paint. And I think that's come up quite well. Then the house itself, I've just done a few flower beds in the front of the house, just to make it feel a little bit more homely. So yeah, that's taken a bit more time than you'd think to work on the sort of dream house and garden, but it's getting there. I don't want to add too much more to it because it might get a little bit busy. The fountain at the back there, I probably want to put a little bit of resin in maybe, just to show that it's a water feature as such. Yeah, and that's it for that bit of house. And then moving on to, I was called it a lift out section. So this bit here is actually hinged. And those of you who are familiar with the layout will know in the last update, I put the back scene on to allow that to blend in quite nicely. But this bit here actually lifts out entirely. So I've done a little bit of work on that. Added the fence. I've added more fencing around the level crossing to blend that in a bit more. I don't really notice the level crossing going into the field anymore. I had a few good ideas on the last update. Maybe I'll come around to that at some point, but it looks okay if you look at it from ground level. Doesn't look too bad. So the plan on this hinged bit, I've added the fence in. So the plan is to have a footpath that runs down to the footbridge, as you can see there, and a little chap going for a wee in the bushes there. So you'll have a footpath there, public footpath, probably some trees on this section here, just to blend it in a little bit into the background, and that's it really. The bit here that I've left a gap, there'll be an open gate there, because when it's hinged up, that's as far or as close as I can get the sections together. So I thought we'll have an open gate there. The couple of workmen who've dumped their response unit van by the side of the railway, then they could be going in to have a look to see what's going on. Let's cover up the join here with some foliage, but essentially that's not almost done, but I think it's certainly coming on nicely. I glued this down. You probably use a little bit too much glue. It's a little bit white still for some reason, so I might need to go over that again. But yeah, I think that's it's coming along quite nicely. But by no means least is the rolling stock update. So this 66, I think I've ended up putting a motor in it that doesn't run, so I'll just run it as a dummy anyway. I had painted over the EWS logo. You can see a slight blemish on it. Put the DB stickers on. So I thought, well, I'll probably run it as the back of a railhead treatment train. So if you look at the weathering on the factory weather 66 at the front there, it's okay. And it's quite light weathering, I guess, certainly for railway treatment train. And the weathering that Hatton's do on their railway treatment train wagons seem to blend down and get worse as you go down. So I figured, well, if I make this one reasonably dirty, then the overall effect looks quite natural, I think. So all I did to weather this was used a bit of mascara. Never used it before, just to do the windows, and covered up the lights and some of the buffers, and then just gave it a couple of sweeps with the spray paint. That's probably blasphemy for a lot of people, rather than using the airbrush, but yeah, just used a bit of spray paint and glanced over it, and it's covered up where the yellow wasn't quite blended in on the when I covered up the EWS logo. But actually, I think the result, I'm very pleased with it. I've not done the windows on that end, but for a dummy loco on the back of the railway treatment train, I'm really pleased with that. I think it looks quite good. The thing I've been working on is a GWR 166. I really wish Bachmann would bring one out, but I don't think they will. I made a bit of a mistake where I bought a Rail Match GWR Loco green, but it's not right. So I've ordered some paint based on what a fellow YouTuber mentioned might be right, so I'll give that a go when it's arrived. But so far I've taken the windows out, masked it up. I took all the sort of numbering and obvious logos off, so it's sort of a base coat of primer on there now. I've added a load of people, added a DCC decoder into each end for the lights, and then a decoder ready for the sound chip on the motor unit. The people, that's something I've spent a lot of time doing. As well as doing these 3 cars, I did 22 coaches worth of people. So all my Mark 3 coaches and Mark 2, Mark 1. It's all coaches now. Passenger trains got people in. Even if they're not lit, I think it makes a bit of a difference, rather than seeing them all shooting past empty. Of course, you do get some empty passenger trains, but more often than not, if you want to stop at a station, it's nice to have a few people in, so I've done that. The people themselves are just cheap ones off eBay. I think it's sort of £5 for 100 or something. Got to chop all their legs off before we put them in, so that's great fun to do. And I buy some of the HO ones as well as the 00 ones, so you get people of all shapes, sizes, and different colours as well. You can see it's quite a rainbow of people in there. So yeah, hopefully when I get the right green, and give that a go. Decals, I've bought a set of 158 decals. I might try and use them, but I've noticed there's someone else that sells 166, but I think it's like £45 for a set of decals, which seems quite a lot, but I want to stick with it. I want to get it right, so I think it'll finish off the fleet quite nicely. So yeah, hopefully it'll be done by the next update, but watch this space. Other rolling stock updates I've done. I converted I think it was the 43 187 and 188 pack into 43093. Because I think that's quite a cool logo there. Quite a cool paint job, should I say. So that's from Railtech Transfers, together with the 3D etched nameplate. And as you can see, as I mentioned earlier, all the people in the Mark III. And then the back one I converted to 43016. So both in keeping with what was around in 2020 when the layout was set. So yeah, I just want to, I've got the 43041, I think it's 005, but they've got the old nameplates on, so I want to try and find Castle nameplates. I don't really want to wait for Hornby to bring out the new set later in the year, because God knows what price that'd be. I'd rather just convert existing stock. I'm not sure that I mean, I'm quite happy with this tooling. I'm not sure the new tooling is going to be worth selling on what I've got and buying, because I don't think it's too much of an issue with this tooling. Something else I've done with the rolling stock is upgrade all couplings to the Hunt system. I did have Hunt couplings on some stuff, Rocco on others, and then I think it's a Hornby type and other things. So I was using 3, maybe 4 different coupling types, but I finally bit the bullet. There were a couple of wagons that didn't take the Hunt couplings, but I found there's some that have got a twist in them, and they work really well. So actually the only thing I can't run Hunt couplings on now is the double-headed trains, because I think it's just too much weight for one loco, or for the magnets to take. So as soon as you put a double head on, then it sort of pulls away often, so I have to use old locking couplings on that. But other than that, all rakes have now got the Hunt couplings on. For those of you which aren't familiar with them, they are literally just magnets, so it makes taking stock on and off the layout really easy, because everything, you can just pull it apart like that. And a bit of experimentation and you can get quite a few of the couplings quite close. You can see how close that runs. Very realistic. So yeah, very pleased with that. I'd recommend it. I've done it over time, every year or so, and that's not too harsh on the wallet, because it can quickly add up if you do a whole fleet of stock in one hit. Yeah, I think that's all the rolling stock updates. Thanks for sticking with us. That's all the updates for this time. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you soon. I'm just going to leave you with a few running shots. Take care.